guests and visiting Rotarians. Welcome to the 7th Rotary meeting of the Rotary year 2020-2021. I'll give you a bit of housekeeping rules. All participants will be muted during the presentation and talks. You can use the chat function to communicate with members. Please use it wisely. We will inform all when it's time to for Q&A. Please use the raise function. Sorry? Okay, sorry, I'll try again. Please use the raise hand on Zoom and you'll be invited to speak. Please ensure you're registered with your full name, not a nickname. Please switch on your video throughout the sessions. We will only take your attendance if video is switched on at all times. This session will be recorded for record keeping and for club promotion on social media. By participating in this event, you consent to photography, audio recording, video recording, and the release, publication or exhibition of the Rotary Club of Singapore and its representative deemed fit to use. Please attend throughout the meeting and kindly do not leave, only to enter again later. Thank you very much. President Dinesh, I hand it over to you.
Thank you, John. So this is just a moment.
Do you want me to share your slides?
Yes, please.
Okay, wait. Okay, they're here.
Oh,
good.
I don't have to go for share screen. Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
President, your technology is improved.
Please go back to the first one. Yes. All right. Very good evening. Yes. Fellow Rotarians, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, very warm welcome to 7th club meeting of this year. To our guest of the members, I'm very happy that most of you are considering to join our club. I'm very pleased to welcome you collectively. Thank you very much and enjoy the evening. Our speaker this evening is Mr. Sudhir Tiku, who is here. And he will speak on a very interesting topic because life wins why life wins. Thank you, Sudhir, for accepting our invitation and to speak. We welcome you.
Thank you, President Dinesh.
Thank you. Welcome. Now it's my pleasure to call upon President-elect Mealy to raise the toast for our great institution, Rotary International. President-elect Mealy.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. To Rotary International. Let's toast.
To Rotary International.
Thank you.
Rotary International.
May I ask now our Honorary Secretary, Bridget, to make the club announcements. Bridget,
Yes,
please.
President Dinesh, thank you. I will not share my slide because I only have 2 announcements to make. One is our Youth Service Committee is taking place tomorrow with Dr. Ganesh in the lead on Zoom, 7 to 8 p.m. And the other announcement is the 2nd online webinar, Symphony of Motherhood concert is taking place on this coming Sunday, the 30th of August from 4 to 5 p.m. We collaborate this time with the Rotary Club of Jurong Town, and in a particular outreach to Melbourne and the state of Victoria. Both our clubs have reached out to Rotary clubs there to support the people in Melbourne and Victoria who suffer from another second strict lockdown. And music is comforting and inspiring, and please do join and log in with your family. It's not only for mothers and children, for family and friends. Chamber music, 4 to 5 p.m. on Sunday. I think we will circulate the Zoom link again on the Club Runner, and also put it on the announcement chat. So that's it today for me.
Thank you, Bridget. Can I have next slide, please?
Yes. Hey. It's not working. Why is it not working? Ah, wait. This one?
Yes, please.
All right.
End Polio is the landmark project for Rotary International. It's a moment of great pride for all of us to see the news announcement that African region has just been certified wild polio virus free. The announcement came from RI President Volker Knack and TR Foundation Chair K.R. Ravindran. Next, please.
Yep.
But it is not over yet. We have covered most of the world, but still there are 2 more countries left, Pakistan and Afghanistan. So RI President is still asking to make contribution for Polio Plus. But as you all know, our Rotary District 3310, they already have a campaign for Polio Plus contribution. And Rotary Adnan has been there. He has made the announcements. I would just ask you, please, if you have not registered, please do it. And if you have any question, ask Adnan. Let us contribute to Polio Plus. Thank you. For the last couple of weeks, I was making an announcement for nomination for nominating committee, but we did not receive any nomination from the floor to serve the nomination committee. So the board has filled the vacancies with the following appointments. And they are past President Tanchin Yap, past President Stan Low, past President Paliat Mohandas, past President Tapar Rao. I would like to thank all of them for accepting the nomination to be on the nominating committee. Thank you very much. Next. Birthdays. Please join me in wishing a very happy birthday to honorary member Mohan Vaswani today, 26th of August. I think we have not seen him here. Probably he's celebrating with the family.
No, he's here. He's here.
He's here? Okay.
He's here, and Auntie Kavita is also here. It's the anniversary.
Oh, great. So we are going to celebrate double joy today.
Mohan, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, please unmute yourself. So first I will go through the all of them and then come back again for the wonderful couple.
You can sing happy birthday to them.
Yes. So why don't you say that? So let's do it birthday for all together. PP Parlita Tiro for 27th of August, Dr. Klaus for 27th of August, and Anindya Datta for 30th of August, and honorary member PP Chiang Shifang for 31st of August. So Varun, we are ready?
Yes, absolutely.
Please go.
1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
to
Happy
you.
birthday,
dear
Happy
birthday
Happy birthday to you.
and wishing you a very happy anniversary, Papa and Auntie Kavita. Thank you so much for taking out time and coming out tonight to celebrate with your Rotary family.
Thank you.
How many years, Pak Mohan? How many years together, anniversary?
Only
Don't ask your
58.
age.
58.
Only. Wow.
Next
Fantastic.
slide, please.
Happy birthday, Palita.
Yeah, happy birthday, Palita.
Happy birthday,
So,
Palita.
now we come to another wedding anniversary. And here we have again, let's join me. And this is today for honorary member Mohan and Kavita Vaswani, both are here. And we should really wish a very happy wedding anniversary because it's today. Let's do it for them first. Please join me in wishing them wonderful years together. And I hope they continue for many, many years to come.
Happy anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Anniversary. I'm done.
We also have on 27th of August, Moshood. Okay, he's in Nigeria perhaps, and Norhai Olanian, Roland and June Josie, 27th of August, and Stephen and Catherine Nicholas, 1st of September. All of you, best wishes for wedding anniversary to all of you.
Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you.
Congrats, Lauren.
All right, I think I mentioned this, that we are going to start a new segment, What's Happening. And here, this will be our way to keep you informed of our activities, not only on service projects, but in all other areas. So we start here with, and we had joint installation, and this was very, very unique at Bukit Gombak Eagles Interact Club and Rotary Club of Bukit Gombak. And these were together because we are sponsoring both these clubs, and rest you can hear from James Lee. So I would like to invite James Lee, Rotarian James Lee, to please just give us some information about the joint installation on last Sunday.
Good evening, Rotarians. Thank you, President Dinesh, for having me to talk about what's happening. The Bukit Gombak Club was founded 6 years ago with PDG Filbert and PDG Chu Kim Bok, who has worked with the Mayor, Lo Yen Ling, to set up Interact Club for Eagles Award winners. And since then, he has never looked back, and together with particularly Rotarian Ronald, and the club has been doing really well, and this is his 6th year, and he has been winning Rotary citation almost every year, for every year, and that he has contributed a lot in the community for Bukit Gombak, and also some international project with Kuching as well. And then after a few years that we have formed it, we found that the members who graduated needed somewhere to go, and we founded the Rotary Club of Bukit Gombak there by PP JK Ong, who has done a wonderful job leading the Rotractors there as well. So together, both clubs has won really citation award at Rotary International, and they make great impact with at Bukit Gombak, and always drawing praises from Mayor Lo Yen Ling, who is now Minister of State with MTI, who is holding a really important position, particularly in this time of COVID season for trade industry, particularly in this area. So I find that this is an opportunity also for as a Rotary Club that we can connect with the mayor to serve Singapore in many possible projects. So we hope that together with our Interactors and Rotractors, our Rotary Club can also join in to work hand in hand with Mayor Lo Yen Ling, who is a great ardent supporter of the Interact Club and the Rotary Club of Bukit Gombak. So with that, I pass this time back to President. Thank you.
Thank you, James. And now is the Kaifa time. Know your fellow Rotarian And today is Rotarian JC Young. She's going to speak about herself, her vocation, and her role here in Rotary Club. I give you JC Young. JC Young,
Jesse,
please.
I've made you co-host. You said you have a slide, then I stop sharing now.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Perfect.
Just one slide will do. Yeah. Okay, just give me a minute. Let me get this up. All right. Okay, can you see my slide? Yeah. Hi, good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Just give me a minute. This is not doing very well. Can't really see myself. Okay. My name is Jessie. I'm an educator. I'm actually a Chinese language teacher for the past 20 years. Thank you for having me here today, President, as well as all the invited guests and all the Rotarians here. James is here. Hi, James. Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to say that, okay, I have been a Chinese language teacher for the past 20 years. I'm still a Chinese language teacher, but I'm a vice principal for the past 7 years. I do not want to give up my identity as a Chinese language teacher, and I'm still teaching Chinese language to whoever who wants to listen to me. So whoever who likes to learn more about Chinese culture, Chinese history, can spend some time with you, and then I can share things with you. That's about my education work. I'm an education administration. I spend a lot of hours in school. I'm in a primary school as a vice principal. I work with teachers. I work with partners. I work with parents. Do I have cases that I need to handle? Yes, I have lots of cases to handle. I have interesting students to talk with. I have parents who need help. I have parents who are appreciative of the system. I met all sorts of people in my work as a leader. So that's about it as a vice principal. Not that exciting. How do I know Rotary Club? I think I know it through James, because I think when he sat down, and then we are partners in crime in the same school previously. So he shared with me about his work. He introduced me to YSC, so I attended some of the meetings. I thought it's quite interesting. This year I'm age 45, and I thought that maybe I should start putting aside time to serve other community members who need more support. So I thought connecting with the youngsters, supporting them is something that I'm probably good at, and I can contribute a little bit more. I'm not quite sure what about other areas. I will try my best to contribute. Of course, this COVID situation is tough because it takes away a lot of my energy to work on other areas. It's not easy to work in school because there are quite a lot of changes and everybody wants a part of you. I think James probably shares some sentiments with me. He's nodding his head. And so I think the part about meeting face-to-face for the Rotary Club, I truly enjoy because I thought I can meet quite a lot of people, but I cannot attach the name to the faces. Interestingly, in this Zoom meeting, I could attach a lot more names to the faces now. So I thought this is something good for me as a very young Rotarian in the club. So I'm very thankful that I have Zoom meeting. So sometimes, although I don't appear, but I'm actually trying to observe who is who and remember who is who. So if finally when we meet face to face, I could actually address you by name. So this is something I'm trying to do. Some of the guiding questions that I can do in sharing. What is something exciting about myself? I love dogs and cats. I had a dog, a corgi, for 9 years, but he passed on in 2008. And then after that, I never want to touch any dog again because I gave my only love to my dog. And then after that, I think 5 years ago, I adopted a cat from my mother-in-law who couldn't manage because my father-in-law passed on. But this year, 18 January, he left me. My cat left me. It's a very old cat. I still can't get over it. I'm still tearing when I remember him. But I actually adopted another cat again. It's a big black fat cat, a Persian black, long hair, and I call him Tiny because he hides from me. He's still getting used to my house. He's running up and down, but he hides under the sofa. He went to the first floor, I can't find him. He went to the third floor, I can't find him. So we're just all over the place. So this is something interesting for me, but I still miss my cat. I still miss my dog, right? And what else about myself? I want to spend more time. I'm trying to understand why SC now. I'm trying to support Dr. Ganesh. And finally, different pieces are coming together. There's a lot of activity going on. I'm trying to understand at the international level what's happening at the zone, at the district, at different committees. So these are information to be pieced together. And I find it as a challenge. But it should be interesting for more years ahead. So thank you, James. Thank you, President, for the opportunity to serve the community, to serve the youngs, to serve whatever that I can do. Yeah, thank you so much. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you, Jessie.
Okay, I'll stop share then.
I'll agree with you that Zoom is giving a good opportunity to know each other. Yes, you're right. And Jessie is the Deputy Chair for YSC. Okay, Jessie, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now we are getting into the speaker section. Now I would like to welcome our spouses. I think, Bridget, can I have this slide? Yeah. I think welcome to our spouses who are joining to listen to a speaker. And they are doing it every time they come at the speaker time. And we have today Meera Kirti, Rachel, Smita Gadgil, Bianca, Kavita, everybody has seen her. Tracy said she might. And this is the information I get from First Lady Rekha. For some reason, she may not join. Warm welcome to all of you. And it's now my great pleasure to call upon Dr. Klaus this month to introduce our speaker. Klaus, please.
Yeah, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, it's a pleasure for me to introduce Mr. Sudhir Tiku. He is a TED speaker, which is quite a famous event where only people who really have something to say can present some subjects. And he is, at the moment, since 8 years, he has been vice president and head of Bosch in Asia Pacific for the building technology. And he's based in Singapore. And before he worked for General Electric. So I don't know, Mr. Tiku, I don't know much about your background, just a little bit what I read about you. And today you want to talk about a boy who grew up in hospital refugee camps. And I think it will be a very optimistic subject to hear how somebody with such an poor background and inhospitable and such kind of circumstances can make it. And that's your story, and welcome to talk.
Thank you, Dr. Klaus, for your kind words. So maybe I'll share my screen to start my presentation. I hope my screen is clear and visible to all of you.
Yes.
So thank you, President Dinesh, Brigade, and all the friends, colleagues at Rotary Club of Singapore. A warm welcome from my side, and I'm really honored to present something of significance to you today. And to start my talk, I have to take permission, and the permission is because I'll be taking you back in time. And sometimes I'll take you 5,000 years back. Then I'll take you 2,250 years back, and finally I'll take you around 100 years back. But what I can promise you, I will bring you back into this Zoom meeting on 26th of August into Singapore. That is a promise. However, to continue my talk, I have to add one more ingredient. Unfortunately, this ingredient is uninteresting, but this ingredient is me, because many of you don't know me. In the 1990s, when I was a teenager and at school, in a span of one night, I was forced to become a refugee. Yes, a refugee in my own country, in my homeland. And all of a sudden, from a very nice house and a nice school, I find myself in a cloth tent, which is 15 feet by 18 feet. And this refugee camp has no scope of sanitation, clean water, electricity. The place is infested with snakes and scorpions, actually. And near to this refugee camp is an open-air school, which becomes my school for the next many, many years. And mind you, hundreds and hundreds of people who lived in this refugee camp actually had very nice life in their original city, which was actually Kashmir. But because of violence which erupted there, one of the community had to come out of that place and found themselves in these refugee camps. So my father, who used to work in Kashmir, all of a sudden has no job. We have very limited money now, and we are dependent on the government. And on the right-hand side of the slide, you see a temple. Actually, this is a very famous temple in city of Jammu. It is called Raghunath Temple. I visited this place almost 20 years after these incidents in my life, and this is a real picture that I clicked. And on the weekends, many rich people used to go to this temple, and there was a line in this temple, and if you were part of this line, you could get some coins or some alms or some notes. So technically what I'm saying is that on the weekends, I was a beggar. So, so that was my life early on, a refugee, a part-time beggar in an open school wherein the teacher came once or twice in a month. And in this refugee camp in the winters when it used to be extremely cold, and I will come out of, and as I would come out of this torn and bedraggled tent and look at the clear sky, I decided that I have to do something in my life and move on. Because despite all the pain involved, a thing in motion is always better than thing in rest. To move on in life, I also thought that it would be good if I have a mentor in my life who could give me shape, direction, and tell me that how do I come out of this rotten existence that I had become part of. I very, very fortunately found that mentor, teacher, guide, philosopher in history. And history became my companion, my friend, and guided me throughout my life. Yeah, for vocation, I became an engineer later on, but I have a deep interest in history, and I am associated with many academic projects of history. And today, I have picked up 3 incidents from 3 phases of history, which actually shaped my life. And with your permission, I want to present these 3 situations, 3 incidents, 3 learnings with all of you. The first incident happens in a place which is roughly 4,800 kilometers from Singapore. This is the aerial distance. And I want to present to all of you the valley of Indus. So Indus is a very famous river, and an equally famous civilization thrived along this river. And this civilization was called the Indus Valley Civilization. You'll be interested to know that many archaeologists, historians, writers have given a lot of attention to this civilization compared to the civilizations which were equally existing at the same time. And mind you, we are now almost 5,000 years back. The people in Indus were short of resources, right? But they did many things which set them apart. One of the things that they were able to do was social consolidation. They started working with terracotta. They were excellent artisans. They, in fact, are credited with making the ancient crude form of a wheel. And in their society, women had a very celebrated position. This is the first civilization in recorded history which uses pictures for communication. Yeah, but however, the specimen which sets apart this civilization is what we call the dancing girl. Now, dancing girl is somewhere in the center of this slide which you are seeing. And this is a world-class, world-famous specimen. And why it is celebrated is because the people of Indus used to make their artifacts with fired clay, which we call terracotta. This is their first specimen wherein they used a combination or a mixture of bronze and copper. And this, to some commentators, is the advent of the Bronze Age civilization. So Dancing Girl is a prehistoric bronze sculpture around 10.5 centimeters in length and around 5 centimeters in width. And it is depicting the life of a 15-year-old girl. And the famous archaeologist, Sir Wheeler, says that this is an image of a girl who is sure of herself and ready to take on the world. This specimen, if you see on the arm, the girl has around 25 bangles on her hand, and on the other side, on the other hand, around 4 bangles. This is a piece of art, and many people have written about it. And as I read more and more about the dancing girl and tried to connect the essence of this piece of art to my miserable life that time in the refugee camp, the learning I had is that results don't depend on resources. Now here we are in a time where people have no resources and they are still capable of creating a masterclass. And when I inspired myself by saying that I can also, in the setting of this refugee camp, maybe work more hard, maybe read more deeper, but do some excellent work in academics, get a scholarship, and move on and probably join a better civilization. The process that the Indus people used to make this sculpture is called cold wax, wherein they first make a mold, and in this mold they put molten bronze or copper. So Dancing Girl is a lesson of execution. It's a lesson of superior skills, and it's a lesson which tells us what I said earlier, that a thing in motion is always better than thing in rest. So in that open school, I worked extremely hard, and I was able to secure a decent scholarship for myself, which enabled me to get into an engineering college. And I did my studies, without paying much fees, and then moved on from one place to another. While I was at the university, I was still at the refugee camp because I could not afford to be, in the hostel, and my stay in the camp continued. Now, I will, stop here on this slide and take you to the next slide, while recording this learning that excellence in life has nothing to do with resources, and resources are not precursor for giving you any results. The scarce the resource, the better is the chance if you are mentally tough to gain some higher ground in life. Now I take you, back in time once again by almost 2,250 years, and I present to you the dynasty of King Ashok. Now, King Ashok, many of you know, is a Mauryan king. He is the poster boy of this dynasty. He's an expansionist, and at one moment of time in his life, his kingdom spans from Afghanistan, meanders into Pakistan, and most part of India is with him. He is a Shaivite Hindu to start with, and loves to eat peacock, and is furious and ferocious in wars, and does not like to lose wars. However, there is one territory which is actually wherein tribals are living. This is a territory near Bay of Bengal, actually the state of Orissa of India, which is not conquered, and this territory is on the mind of King Ashok. And King Ashok decides that he has to complete his reign. So with an army of 100,000 people, he marches into this territory and and wins the war. King Tahir, the king who was part of this territory, actually fights a very, very spirited war. And Ashok, in one of his edicts, says that close to 50,000 people die on one day in this war. So on this day, when Ashok wins this war, he is on the battlefield, and when he sees so much of death and blood on the battlefield, there's a change of heart in him. And actually, some of his friends who then wrote memoirs about Ashok, they said that this was the first time in many, many years that Ashok had wept. So here is the poster boy of a dynasty who wants to conquer everything after seeing so much of blood and bloodshed, has a change of heart. Ashok that day decides to convert his religion from Hinduism to Buddhism and wants to spread the message of love and peace. He does this by installing edicts. Now, one of the edicts is, this cylindrical shape that you are seeing. The language is Prakrit, the script is Brahmi, and he writes the message of peace, love, coexistence, non-violence, and positions these edicts throughout his territory so that people can read them. So at the surface, if we study this event, some of us may think that this is a war and there is a king and he has a change of heart and that's it. But no, if we go deeper, the essence is something else. The essence is that in recorded history, Ashok is the first disruptor, and he is a disruptor of a status quo. Because in those times, around 2000 years back, it was very normal for kings to fight wars and to kill people and to expand their territory. But here is a king who has supremacy, who has power, and who can continue to do what he has been doing, decides to do something which is not normal or conventional. So Ashok, in that sense, disrupts the status quo of his time. And as I connected the story of Ashok to my own story in that refugee camp, I also challenged the status quo of my existence. I told myself that I don't want to be a part of a line which used to happen every month in that refugee camp. And I had to stay in that line for 4 to 6 hours to get $20 and 4 kgs of rice free of cost. And one day, such was the inspiration of Ashok that I decided that I will not be part of this line anymore. I challenged the existence of that wretched existence that I used to live. And as I moved on in my life, in that university, to my first job in my life, the message and learning of Ashok always stays with me is that it's always important in life to challenge the status quo, to move forward, to learn new things and to be satisfied. I think let's stop here with this learning of status quo and move now to something more meaningful. And I bring you now to the year of 1920. This incident that I want to narrate to you is what we call the Chora-Chori incidents in the story of the Indian independence. So what happens is that Mahatma Gandhi is the leader of India for securing independence from British. And he starts a movement which is called the non-cooperation movement, whereby Indians, and that time also people from Pakistan, will not cooperate with the British authority. They will not pay tax, and they will create moral pressure on Britishers to leave India. However, while this is happening in Chora-Chori, there is a group of people who surround a police station, and there is an altercation. Police shoots at the crowd, 4 people die, and in retaliation, the crowd burns the police station. 22 policemen, most of them Indians, are charged to death. The news of Chora-Chori and that policemen have died and reaches Mahatma Gandhi, and he takes a decision of halting, stopping, and canceling the non-cooperation movement. Now, many political commentators say that the decision of Mahatma Gandhi to stop the non-cooperation movement is debatable. Maybe India could have gained freedom much earlier than they ultimately got. But I don't want to focus on what commentators are saying. I want to focus on the core of the decision that Mahatma Gandhi took. And in his strategy of non-cooperance, the core value was non-violence. And this incident actually violates the core of strategy. And as I connected this learning of history to my own life, in the many companies that I worked on, I always took decisions in such a manner that I don't violate the core value of the companies I worked for or the core values that make up my life. Colleagues, there is a good chance that if you don't violate the values that make you as a person, there's a good chance that you may not be famous, you may not be very rich, you may not be extremely successful, but there will be one thing that will happen to you. You'll be peaceful. So I chose peace over many other things, and always listened and remembered the roots that I have come from, and I always remember the roots that I come from. So to conclude today's short talk, the learnings from these 3 historical events for me, the learning from the Indus Valley: results don't depend on resources. Yeah, this is always an excuse when people say that they don't have resources to create results. There are many incidents in history, be it prehistoric, historic, or contemporary, where people have risen from ashes and they had nothing, but they still achieved great heights. The second learning from King Ashok, that status quo has to be always challenged. If we want to move ahead in life and do something more interesting, I think we have to put ourselves in hot water and learn and create something which is more valuable. And thirdly, what we learned from Mahatma Gandhi and his journey of non-cooperation in India's freedom struggle is that we have to always stick to values. It may not give us quick results, but without value, actually we have no value. So I'll stop here for any questions if anyone has on this particular presentation.
Yeah, Sudhir, thank you so very much for being so open and sharing your personal story, at least sort of a small part of it, I would say, and sharing your learnings. President Dinesh had to excuse himself, I should say, because it's the first birthday of his granddaughter. So it's not only the wedding anniversary of Mohan and Kavita, and so he says thank you very much, and took his leave and asked me to take over. We don't have any questions in the chat, so basically ask anyone has a question, a burning question now. Otherwise, I might.
Can I just say something, please?
Of course, Mark. Please, yes, go ahead.
Okay. It's not so much a question, but learning from history is really great, and it's good that you draw so much conclusions which guide you forward. I always like the phrase that anything new that's happening in the world that we think is new is history that we did not learn. So even the COVID, even the trade war, even the imperialism going on, all has happened before. So we can learn from history and then look at what's happening, and it will happen again. That's what I wanted.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, Mark. There's Lipke and Rachel. There is a question. Can you unmute yourself, Lipke, and ask the question?
Oh yeah, you referred to the language on the cylinder as Brahmin. Wasn't that Sanskrit, or maybe just clarify?
Brahmani.
Brahmin.
That's the old. Is the old language of it.
Brahmin is
go
a
ahead,
language.
Please.
No, is Brahmin a language?
Not Brahmin. It is not Brahmin.
Brahmani.
Brahmi or
Brahmini.
Brahmi. Yeah. So it's different from the caste that it's different from the caste of Brahmins that we have in Hindu mythology and then in the Hindu way of work. So this was a script which was used in ancient India.
Can I just ask another question? I mean, you basically talked about yourself, but of course, I assume you had family with you, right? So, because how did you get the inspiration to actually turn to history? I can imagine it must have been a devastating situation. And where did you take the strength from to kind of relate to history and decide that there's a learning in it?
I think one of the credit for that goes to the teacher who never used to come to our school, and 4 days we were having no studies. So I joined a library which was close by, and in the library the first book that I chanced upon was a book on Indus Valley actually, and that's how the interest came upon. And in my college days, then I did a lot of academic work for history, and now I'm extending my education in ancient historical studies of Sumerians actually, and ultimately I'm thinking of doing a doctorate in that field.
Wow, wonderful.
Cool. And
really interesting, isn't it?
Sorry. How did you end up working for Bosch then?
So Bosch is the fourth. Yeah, Bosch is the fourth company in my career. I actually started with an Indian company in India, which is with the Birlas actually, which is a big group. And obviously, if I had to come out of that refugee camp, I had to start working. So after I went into engineering, I did extremely well there. And in India, if you do well in your engineering college, there is a chance that you get picked up in the college itself by the company. So the Birlas came to our college, and I got picked up by them. And then I moved from one job to another, but retaining my hobby of reading and learning from history.
Excellent. Any more questions from the audience?
Hi, this is Ranga here, if I may.
Of course, please go ahead.
Sudhir, thank you very much for this inspirational talk. You spoke about, results don't depend on resources, and scarcity is not a reason for not succeeding. Given that in the current environment, we are bringing up our own children where they're growing up with abundance and not necessarily faced with adversity. Not that we wish it on anyone. Do you think we will be raising softer, less aspirational children?
One disclaimer here. This is my learning from history. This is what actually helped me. And if I understood your question properly, Ranga, was it that how do children take things if we give them abundant resources?
No, adversity obviously shapes individuals and gets the best out of them. And
Yes.
that current, at least looking at our own environment in Singapore, we give our kids a pretty decent environment and everything is given to them at a platter. And as they compete with the rest of the world, we believe that they will be less able to achieve than folks who have a better adversity quotient, if you will.
Yeah, I think if you don't have adversity in your life, but you are as a parent able to give values to your children, I still feel they will be in good shape. I think the most dangerous thing is abundance and no inculcation of values from parents to the children. So I know in Singapore and in many countries like Singapore, there is abundance, but I think it's our responsibility as parents also. We cannot wish away the abundance and the luxury and that's fine. But I think we have to inculcate values, because then I think helps children to grow into meaningful human beings. So that's what I have done. My son, for example, is a teenager. He does not live in a refugee camp, and I don't tell this story to him because it's his life and I don't want to bias it. But what I try to do is to put some values in him, so that he becomes a person who is more balanced and does not look at only one side of life.
Thank you.
Sudhir, I just want to make a point. It was a wonderful talk, and I am reminded of Lee Kuan Yew in his book, Man and His Ideas. He says, unless you understand history and decipher the patterns, you will not be able to predict your future.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
How do you manage this with your children?
I have one child. Yeah, I mean, firstly, my son does not like history at all. He feels it's useless. And why are we looking at things which have already gone? We should look at maybe AI and all the new stuff. But I think I consciously find time for history because, as I said, I have academic interest in it. I want to pursue my doctorate in Sumerian studies, which is studies related to Central Asia and its history. So that I will continue. And Suresh, if you have to do something, you will do it. It's a question of how passionate you are about it. And luckily, I am passionate about history as a subject, and I feel history is living and. It really teaches you multiple things. For me, it's not a thing of past. It's living, and I do find time for it.
Good luck. We hope to hear from you again.
I think.
May I share a point of view?
Of course.
Just a short one.
Can I just ask Sudhir to stop sharing the slide? Then we can see each other. That's a bit more interactive sort of thing.
That's great.
So,
okay, let me. Yes. Sudhir, I'm Tapan, and hi.
Hello, Tapan.
I'll be meeting you very soon for Rotary information. So this is the first introduction that we have had. You see, you talked about history. You're right. I used to hate history when I was a child. In fact, if my mom told me somehow to get grades which will get me through class, I would not touch the book. But today, I can tell you 80% or more of my reading and my collection of knowledge is only history. And I have gone back into all those things which you are talking about and the ones that you are wishing to research. I wish I could go back in time and do a run of all the things I could have learned throughout my years. You're right. History can be a great, great subject for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, and just a quick point here. If we read history as a subject, then it is boring for sure. But if you read history as a source of learning and understanding, I think it's very exciting.
Absolutely.
Sudhir, this is Sonali here. Your talk was really amazing because your journey of coming from that situation to where you are now is really inspirational. So I'm curious to check, since you managed to come out of that environment and build a very successful life for yourself, what are the lessons that maybe from your experience that organizations like Rotary and other social organizations can use for helping the youth of the current day and age?
Yeah, I think a few things which I can share. I don't know in detail about Rotary because I just want to get into the organization. But from an overall organizational perspective, I think every organization has a DNA and has a value system. I think as we expand in shape, size, format, and become bigger and bigger and take larger projects, sometimes we tend to forget that DNA. I think it's always important to remember that what makes us and not lose that, because if we lose what makes us, we may be big in shape, but we will be hollow. So I think holding on to the meaning that makes us is very important from an organizational point of view. Secondly, I think this also history teaches us when big kings lose significant wars and their time is over, is that sometimes in organizations also people believe that they can make kingdoms and they can rule the roost. And I think history always teaches us that it's not lasting. I think organizations and the members who work in organizations have to be inclusive, have to respect diverse views of each other, and then move as one team to do that common goals. But we see in many organizations, and then ultimately leads to their failure, is creation of these silos and kingdoms, which ultimately leads to to demise and failures. So this is also a second thing from an organizational point of view. And the third point, which is very important from an organizational point of view, is the pipeline of your talent, which we sometimes smother. So companies who don't focus on on talent pipeline, and this used to happen to the kings in the past because they don't want to move on in life, and then there was no structured process, and they would end up getting either killed or then there would be a big war for succession. So I think managing the pipeline in a very democratic manner, fair manner, equitable manner is something that I always drive in the organization that I work for, in the sense that I always want to recruit a person in my team who is better than me, because then that creates that talent pool and ensures that we move forward. I think as an organization also, it's always important to choose those key people who can replace us as we move on.
Thank you. I think very, very insightful. Also, in terms of developing the youth, because as part of Rotary, developing youth leaders is a big part of what we do.
Absolutely.
So, any thoughts on how to develop the youth leaders, given your experience?
Yeah, so I mean, I would like to understand the question very specifically, but to give the answer very, very generally, I think one of the things where I see an opportunity for the youth is service to the society. And currently, we collectively have failed to explain to our youth is that why it is important to serve the society beyond the normal mundane thing that all of us or the youth do. So maybe youth are focused on themselves, and I'm sorry, I'm again generalizing it. There are many youth who want to do multiple things for the upliftment of underprivileged and poor. But generally, I feel it's also our failure is that we have not been able to inspire youth, to spend some time on meaningful things. And one of the reasons for that, to me, is that we are not able to tell that story, that why we should do it. So if I am given a chance to do it, I think I can tell real stories of what happened in the past and how we can connect it to the future, and then create a value stream or an ecosystem wherein when people start doing small but significant thing, it really adds value to one's life. So I think it's a question of also how you tell a story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, can I just interject here?
Just one last question before
okay. Very quickly. Are you aware that in the Rotary we have interact and groups at various schools and colleges which look up to us as Rotarians, as mentors and advisors, and they are doing a lot of community service activities. And if you are thinking of joining Rotary, we'd love to have you more actively involved in our youth service committee.
I'll be more than pleased, and I commit to spend time on that. It's really a huge opportunity for me to to support this cause. Thank you for the hint, and I'm really excited. If I'm selected to be part of Rotary Club, I'll really give my best in terms of time and commitment and whatever small things I know.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Perfect, wonderful. Yeah, I mean, that was absolutely super interesting. Thank you once again, Sudhir. And to kind of give you the vote of thanks, as it's our tradition, can I ask Suresh Hatirami, please, to unmute yourself and give us the vote of thanks for Sudhir?
So, Acting President Bridget, guests and fellow Rotarians. Well, you are acting president for this meeting, so. It's quite coincidental and interesting, Sudhir, that I also had a horrible history teacher. And I never learned history in school. It was my worst subject. But today I rely exclusively on history to guide me in my everyday life, today and in the future. So we are two of a kind, where history was the one that pushed us to succeed in whatever we do. So congratulations and thank you for sharing. The central theme of your talk today revolves around the power and relevance of history. The definition of history, simply put, is the study of past events, particularly human affairs. The power of history is its ability to impart upon future generations lessons from the past, and its greatest impact is the influence it can have on our present actions, progress, and behavior. History is actually the best teacher we can have. Humans being humans, we never learn from history and often repeat mistakes from the past. Sudhir, you have been an exception. You have relied on history to be your mentor, guide, and coach. You have taken lessons from a civilization 5,000 years old and applied it to your own situation and turned it around. What a wonderful story to tell youngsters. You mentioned about the dancing girl being the first cast bronze statue ever, which heralded the Bronze Age. You also mentioned how it was manufactured using the lost wax casting method. Most of you here may not know this, but most cast objects, even today, use the same lost wax casting method in the manufacture. And 90% of all jewelry, precious and non-precious, even today, uses the lost wax casting method. So look at the technology that existed 5,000 years ago. And I have something very interesting to share with everyone here. I have here a piece of actual terracotta pottery from the Indus Valley civilization. In fact, this piece is dated 5,500 years ago. It is a civilization that predates the Indus Valley. It's called the Mehergarh civilization. I'm sure, Sudhir, you heard.
Yeah.
And I have a near perfect piece of terracotta that has survived 5,500 years of history. The colors, if you can see that the colors are still visible and it's almost in perfect condition. Look at the technology that they had and look at the quality of the products that they made even then, that it survives unscathed. So coming back to what I have to say is that Sudhir gives us inspiration that one can arise and succeed from any situation, provided we apply passion and creative skills to our situation, and we will ultimately succeed. Your second example about Emperor Ashoka is a case of historical disruption. Challenging the status quo, as you mentioned, is essential for any progress to happen. The situation we face today has parallels to what Emperor Ashoka faced 2,250 years ago. And we should know that this will also pass. And it is a turning point in the history of humankind. I hope we will all learn from the lessons of history, as Sudhir has very clearly brought out to us, so that we never have to face such a catastrophe as we face now. Thank you for reminding us to rely on history to face the future and come out victorious. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Suresh, for the wonderful words. I think for me, it's only to remind you that we are meeting again next week, Wednesday, sharp at 7 p.m. And we will welcome one of our Entrepreneur of the Year Awards winners 2018, Joseph Eng, who founded Skyfi, sort of like a logistics transport company powered by technology. And he will share with us the roadblocks, challenges he had in his journey, not only as an entrepreneur, but also to winning the awards in 2018. And so that's next week. And it will be our own Rotarian Utam who will be telling us about his sort of way of life and Rotarian in our Kaifa session next week. So I think we can now move over to some fellowship. Whoever still wants to kind of hang around, we now we officially end the meeting and we move over to fellowship, and I still keep the room open until 8:30. I'm sure, Sudhir, if you like, still stay with us. I think PP Keith Harrison had another question, and if we are okay, we can just sort of open the discussion for whoever still likes to stay around. Thank you very much, and yeah, let's move on to casual fellowship.